Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my weekly wrap-up of December 13th, 2015, wherein I tell you about the small amount of things I actually managed to finish this past week. I did a lot of reading. I read like an extra 600, 700 pages in other books that I'm reading for buddy reads, but I haven't finished any of those, so what you have here today is just the other stuff I fit in around all that. The lighting is weird today because it is a dark, gloomy, and rainy day in December. It's a warm, wet day, which is terrible for my allergies, and I apologize if I look kind of weird. My eyes and my nose go crazy when it is warm and wet outside. That was a weird digression. Let's talk about the books instead. First, I finished the last two books in Serrano Legacy series by Elizabeth Moon. These books are Change of Command and Against the Odds. You'll probably recall that a couple weeks ago I read the fifth book in this series called Rules of Engagement, and I had a really hard time reading that book because rape is used as a plot device and it's used as a way of maturing a rambunctious female character. The results of that are carried over into these last two books. It's not like people are getting raped in these books, but that character reappears, and I was having difficulty being happy reading about that character. So I feel like my enthusiasm and enjoyment to finish this series got tamped down a bit. But other than that, this was a satisfying conclusion to the series. They did wrap up a lot of individual storylines and their overall themes of the series pretty well, so I'll give it that. The story of this entire series revolves around the Familius Regnant, which is like a political entity, a kingdom in space, and their lax or non-existent policies surrounding the economic, social, implications of rejuvenation technology that the older generations can rejuvenate indefinitely and never cede any power or control or businesses to the younger generations. So young people have no opportunity for advancement, but this has severe repercussions, especially for foreign relations, because the Familius Regnant will expand and encroach on other people's territory in order to give room and advancement to younger generations. It all comes to a head in these last two books, and all of the previous characters are brought back into one story. They all have their individual storylines that feed into what's going on with the Familius Regnant. So there's a lot more going on in these last two books, especially where multiple characters' perspectives are included, which was kind of a change. I was initially not sure I liked switching so rapidly from character to character, but it worked out in the end. I definitely feel like a lot of the individual character storylines were wrapped up well, but I was left thinking that there was probably more to say about the effects of rejuvenation and how the foreign relations aspect turned out. Some of that stuff was just kind of sketched in by the end about how that stuff was going to be resolved, and I think I would have sacrificed some of the personal storylines for more of a look at the political aspects of this and how it was solved. But anyway, it was okay. I definitely think that the Vada's War series that Moon wrote after this one was a lot better for many reasons, but I'm glad I read this. I finished two series by Elizabeth Moon this past year, and that makes me very happy. My dog is very anxious because it's raining and she keeps interrupting me. The other book that I finished this week was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and I'm at a loss of what to say about this book, honestly. I read the 60th anniversary edition, which had a lot of commentary and essays and reviews of the book, and I suddenly feel like everything that can be said about this book has already been said by other people. Everybody knows what this book is about. I didn't have a really strong visceral reaction to reading this story. I wanted to read it because it is such a famous book. It is kind of genre fiction, it's kind of science fiction, and it's such an important book in the history of reading books and banning books and stuff, and I've never read it. So mostly I think it reaffirms my belief that reading and thinking critically about the world is a freedom and a right that I always want to have, and the world is a grimmer, darker place when you can't do that. The Probably only thing I have to add from my own experience here is that I really enjoyed Bradbury's writing style in this book. The first thing I ever read by him was Something Wicked This Way Comes, and by the end of that book, I felt like Bradbury's writing style was almost oppressive. It was very detailed and like nothing else I've ever read, and I didn't really enjoy it that much in Something Wicked. And then I read Fahrenheit 451, and it just worked so much better for me. Maybe because I thought it suited the story better, maybe because I was already prepared for it, maybe just because the work was shorter and that worked better. But yeah, I just enjoyed reading this with the language so much more than Something Wicked, and I really like that. I really want to like Bradbury. He's one of those authors that I want to love. So I'm very happy that I enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to reading some other things by him. Probably the Martian Chronicles and the Illustrated Man are next on my reading list by him, whenever I get around to that. So there you go. That's everything I finished, so here is the big list of what I'm currently reading. I'm about a third of the way through reading The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield with my friend Rachel. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this. I'm getting close to being done with Use of Weapons by Iain M. Banks, which I'm buddy reading with Sabrina from Sabrina Everywhere. I don't know what to think about this book yet. I'll have to cogitate on this once I finished it. And the other thing I'm buddy reading is The Rise of Endymion by Dan Simmons with Tara, and really good fun. I'm having a blast reading that book, though it's about a lot of depressing stuff, including like kind of like religious oppression. I don't know. Other than that, on my own, I am reading Redemption in Indigo by Karen Lord, which I wish I had picked up this book a lot sooner because I am really enjoying the way that this is written. It's about a woman who leaves her husband and then gets embroiled in a scheme by gods. These people are called Jombi, the Undying Ones. Anyway, really enjoying this. And the other thing is Updraft by Fran Wilde. This is like a YA fantasy novel. It's kind of a coming-of-age Chosen One story. It's very interesting world building. These people live on these massive towers that are actually made out of living bone. They keep growing upwards, and they travel between them with man-made wings. The only problem is that the plot so far is predictable and a little bit boring. I'm just not sure if I want to spend more time reading it, so I'll give it a little bit more and then decide if I want to finish it or not. It's not bad, it's just not super interesting. That's everything I read, that's everything I'm currently reading. Let me know how your weekend has been. I'm counting the days until my Christmas vacation starts. 7 work days left, and I'll be back to talk to you guys again in my next video, and until then, bye.